Hello and welcome back to Suzerain. I believe I've made my decision, and there is a contingency in place in case this cuts us out of content this deep into the Let's Play, but I've decided I'm going to join the ATO, because I don't think I'm going to be able to join United Contana, and I don't have the alliances that I need. I couldn't ally Lesbia, I couldn't ally Valksan because I allied Agnolia, and I didn't ally Velen, which I probably should have, but it would have required me to participate in a genocide, which I didn't want to do. So I think we are going to have to join the ATO, because I don't think we can stand on our own 2 feet against Rumberg, and I don't know if there's a way to get nukes in this game to sort of protect the invasion, or like have any sort of like deterrence. But yeah, I'm gonna go with I accept, Mr. Walker. That's what I'd like to hear. Stood up and shook hands. Welcome to ATO, Mr. Rain. Welcome home. Cheers to newfound partnerships. We clinked our glasses and... oh, current relationship with Valksan updated. And down the remaining whiskey. Now it's starting to get better. Or to taste better. Let's go upstairs, Mr. Rain. We have much to discuss. Now this could lead to a world war. But more importantly, we need to celebrate. Besides... oh no. Achievement unlocked. United against communism. Besides, I have a few more dance moves to show off. I'm worried that I made a very poor decision. Modernized Air Force, investments from Arcasia. What's that? Diplomacy, embargoed by United Contana, Arcasian influence, Arcasian military support, and strategic alliance member. Swordland joins the ATO. The lesbian counterpart, Prime Minister Alvarez, has called Swordland's joining the ATO the best thing to happen in Eastern Mercopa in the last century. Chairman Meleniev called the Swordland's ATO membership a threat to the stability of the world, while Chancellor Hagel refrained from making a comment. I appreciate that, Hagel. Call with Evelyn Vector. Midnight, I was just in the living room, watching the tail end of a news report when I heard the phone ring. I sighed and walked over to the phone, wondering who could be calling this late. Hold up, sorry, just needed to check. I thought someone in the Discord was yelling at me for what I was about to do, but anyways, I laughed and walked over to the phone, wondering who could be calling me this late. I picked it up. Hello, who's this? Heard a soft voice from the other end. Hello, Anton. This is Evelyn. Sorry for calling so late. Something wrong? Yes, no, I don't know actually. Alright, let's talk. The thing is, I was supposed to meet with Petr today to hand him the signed divorce papers, but he didn't come to our designated meeting point. I figured he might have been too drunk to remember, so I went to the apartment he's been renting, but he wasn't there either. I asked around, the landlord, the neighbors, friends. No one knows where he is. Trust me, Anton, I couldn't be more excited to be rid of this man, but I can't close off this chapter of my life without his cooperation. I'm sure he'll turn up. I don't know, Anton. He was in bad shape after your press conference. Can't you get your police contacts to look into this, just to be on the safe side? Alright, if it'll give you peace of mind, I will. Thanks, Anton. That'd be great. I knew, by the way, about all this affairs. I'm so sorry I never came to you about it. Why can't I just be quiet? I'll have to tell the truth. Boys will be boys, isn't that what they say? Her voice sounded tired. Get some sleep, Evelyn. Goodbye. The line dropped. As I put down the phone, Monica sleepily approached with a glass of water in her hand. Who's that? Is everything alright? It was Evelyn. She said Petr went missing. Missing? Drowning in sorrows, I wager. I'm surprised she still cares about him. She was a good influence on him for a while. She made her way upstairs. Call Carl, ask him about Petr. I picked up the phone and dialed Carl's number. The phone rang only for a few seconds. Yes, Mr. President. Sorry for calling this late. Not a problem, sir. I only sleep for 3 15-minute intervals per night. What can I do? I needed to find someone. As you wish. I heard the faint rustling of a notepad being opened. Who do you want found? Petr Vector, the ex-vice president. As you command, I will report my findings shortly. Thank you for your help, as always. Have a good night. He hung up, I put away the phone and went down to the bedroom to get some sleep. As I was eating breakfast the next morning, the phone rang. I picked up. It was called. Good morning, Mr. President. That was fast. Indeed, sir. I have some unfortunate news regarding Mr. Vector. His wedding ring, a half-empty bottle of pills, and a handwritten note were found on a bridge overlooking... Oh, no. We surmised that he took his own life. What did the note say? He wished it to be read by Evelyn alone, sir. Would you like to break the news to Mrs. Vector, or should I? I'll tell Evelyn. Thanks again for your help, of course, sir. Carl hung up with a heavy heart. I started thinking about what I would say to Evelyn. Salmons left rotting in storage. Cities lacking in customers. Tons of salmon left to rot on a daily basis. Well, that's not good. What's going on here? Increased crime and racial violence at Sana. Morbell reported to be soon to be a ghost town. Request financial aid for the city. That's one of the places I could have given financial aid, I'm guessing. Former Vice President's suicide confirmed. Private funeral is being held for the former Vice President in Holsud. Olivia Suno has not been seen since the scandal broke, and there are rumors she escaped back to Rumburg. Petter Vector commits suicide. That's terrible. Petter Vector has unfortunately passed away. Preparations are being made, and his body is being readied for the final journey. The state can choose to honor his services to the nation with a state funeral or arrange a regular one. I will arrange a state funeral. That's the cemetery. Petter Vector, nowhere to be found, yeah. A convoy pulled up to the gates of the National Cemetery in earlier. Petter's hometown. Monica and Diana were beside me in the car. Wait, I want to give the note to Evelyn. The news of Petter's death had hit Frank especially hard. Rather than attend the funeral, he had taken a few days off from school to have time to himself. Monica looked numb and empty. Diana appeared to be in deep thought. But how did Uncle Petter die? Why won't anyone tell me? Monica looked like she was about to cry. It doesn't matter, sweetheart. She turned her head to look out the window, hiding her tears. Hug Monica. She hugged him back tightly. Papa, tell me the truth. You'll understand when you're older. That's not fair, I'm almost 12. The driver's windows rolled down. We have arrived, Mr. President. My deepest condolences. I know you and Mr. Vector were very close. You're right, we were. Serge went outside and opened the door. As soon as we stepped out, camera flashes went off. Evelyn Vector was waiting for us. Upon seeing her, Monica ran up to her and they hugged. Evelyn, I'm so sorry. How are you holding up? So. It's hard to play the bereaved widow knowing the kind of man he really was, but still. We were married for almost 20 years, Monica, and the way he died, it's just too sudden. I hugged her. She took my hands in hers as she pulled back. I know there's nothing either of us could have done, but I still can't help feeling responsible for this. I know what you mean. Evelyn swallowed hard, her eyes filled with resolve. Alright, let's go. The four of us, Evelyn, Monica, Diana, and I, took our places towards the front of the crowd. From afar, we heard the sound of military boots approaching. A soldier was leading a group with a large framed photo of Petter in his hands. Behind him followed other soldiers, marching alongside a cart with a carved goat at the front. On top of the cart, wrapped in a Swedish flag, was the coffin of Petter Vector, the 4th Vice President of Sordland. When the group stopped in front of us, they lifted the coffin up of the cart and laid it down on the platform. One of the soldiers took the flag, folded it, and presented it to me. I walked behind the podium to deliver my speech. Today we mourn Petter Vector, the 4th Vice President of Sordland, and my brother. Our bond was not a bond of blood, it was something stronger. It was a bond of friendship and camaraderie. God's word says no man can be perfect, and Petter was certainly no exception. We must all remember him not at his worst, but for the good deeds he has done. The path he paved will go down in history. Morning shall come. Everyone in the crowd yelled victory is close. Amid the applause, I went back to join Monica and Deanna. As we walked past Evelyn, she mouthed the words, "Thank you." Trumpets cut through the silence. Stern-looking soldiers formed a line and held their rifles in front. One after another, 10 shots rang out. With each shot, I shuddered. I had known Petr for almost 30 years. The time we spent together flashed back before my eyes. The good memories and bad ones, all of it. It didn't matter anymore, he was gone. I felt a tug on my left arm. Deanna said, "Are you crying?" Surprised, I checked my face. My eyes were wet. Oh, it's a Full Metal Alchemist reference. It's raining. She looked up at the sky. Papa, it's not raining. Come on, Deanna, let's go. The coffin was fully lowered and the tombstone placed. The crowd began dispersing. Leave a bottle of whiskey on the grave. I left the bottle on the grave. Earl Laurie, 30-year-old, his favorite. I stayed there by myself for another half hour. Sun finally set after painting the sky blood red. It's very tragic to see them divided during this service as the country's most important men. Renberg, informant and adulterer to be awarded with state funeral. Well, that's also a way of putting it. Late night at Rain household. After weeks of late nights, Monica, Chiara, and the Women's Rights Commission had succeeded in getting their bill through the assembly. It was as comprehensive as they could have hoped for. I was looking forward to celebrating with my wife, but it had been hours since I'd gotten home, and she still wasn't here. Kept dozing off on the couch after yet another frozen TV dinner when I heard the key turn on the lock. Monica stumbled into the hall. "Honey, I'm home." "Kiss her." Her breath smelled like gin. I was just having a few drinks with Chiara. "I can't believe we did it, Anton. This is such amazing news." She hiccuped. "You could have invited me to the celebrations. Oh, you would have found it boring. And somebody had to look after Deanna." "My god, I'm starting to see what I put you through all those years. Get used to it, baby. Seriously, Anton, this is what I want to do. I've never felt so alive." I'm gonna show her the framed photo I took from my old office. Opened my briefcase and pulled out a photograph I've taken from my old office and on that fateful night with Petr. Oh wow, look at us. We were so young, we had no idea what was in store. Oh, I always had an idea. We stayed curled up on the couch till late, talking and reminiscing about old times until a TL Agnolia signals standing with Swordland. Stand against the Valxandian harassment together with Swordland. Valxand increases naval presence in the Grey Strait. Okay, one-on-one interview from Kurut. Lucian Galad organized an interview for the presidency on the internationally renowned one-on-one. The famous journalist Thomas Sacker will be asking the questions. Okay, that's kind of cool. We have 7 newspapers though. That has me worried. Valxlandian Navy spotted in full force in Helluland. Like everyone else, I only read the headlines. Petr back then, yeah, it's been updated to say that he took his life. Party leaders, wait, what? The former leader of the pro-Bludish Workers' Party of Bludia is a strong supporter of socialism and an advocate for the rights of the Bludish minority. Wait, why was this updated? What's going on here? Oh, in 1957, Edjal was poisoned by a nerve agent by a Swedish nationalist. Oh my god. Kibner condemns President Rain. Separatist political movement with an aim to destroy the Swedish nation. Murdering babies in Berger, Jesus Christ. Swordland's largest military parade ever. Bludish rights bill rejected by the Assembly. According to the Speaker, only 100 lawmakers voted in favor of the amendments, failing to gather a simple majority. Only one member of the Assembly abstained from voting in the session attended by 245 members of the 250-seat Parliament. The proposal was doomed from the start. President Rain must realize that he's leading the country of Swordland, not Bludia. Workers' Party leader poisoned. Nationalist attempted to assassinate. Okay, attempted, thank God. WBP record membership number. The attack is suspected to come from a nationalist organization which had most likely targeted Ajal due to the massive increase in the votes of the Workers' Party of Bludia. He's hospitalized in critical condition. Okay, that's also bad. Sordland creates peace line to avert war. Following Rumberg's demands for reparations from Sordland, the tensions increased dramatically. As per the information from Rumberg, Swedish warplanes have trespassed into Rumbergian airspace, whereas Swedish military reports that the plane was inside the Swedish borders when it was shot. The international community is unclear of the certainty of the reports on both sides. Thankfully, Swedish administration approached the incident calmly and established a peace line to avert war between the two countries. Good. Oh boy. Election speech at the USB HQ. The sun started to peek through the blinds of my suite in the Grand Chariot Hotel in Anrica. I hadn't slept at all that night. I was too busy thinking about how I would rally my party's conservative base today at today's election kickoff. I was just pulling on my clothes when two soft, sharp knocks came at the door. Lucian, good morning, sir. Hope you brought coffee. Lucian sat down in the suite's office chair and pulled a piece of paper from his jacket pocket. I just thought I'd drop off some talking points for a speech today. Much appreciated. No trouble at all. Are you sure you can take another 4 years of me? I'm ready if you are, Mr. President. I'll see you at the rally. Almost forgot, the Archpriest of Dare couldn't be present today, but wanted to relay a message of support for you and your family. What'd he say? I bless the rains down in Anrica. Oh my god. Lucian left the room. I finished putting on my tie and reread my notes for the morning speech. A few hours later, I was waiting in the wings at the Norsod Auditorium in Anrica. In the audience were several thousand of my conservative supporters. Behind the podium hung a Swedish flag and a giant banner that read, Your land, my land, Swordland. Sure, yeah. Everyone cheered as I walked on stage through Mayor Curtin-Lest. Though Mayor Curtin-Lest was now part of the opposition as a member of the NFP, it seemed most of Anrica was still on my side. Oh, okay. He got radicalized by women having rights. Gloria gave a short speech introducing me. Then it was my turn. I stepped behind the podium and took a deep breath. Sons and daughters of Swordland. The past 3.5 years have seen our country tested again and again. Yet Swordland has prevailed. Under my administration, we are stronger than ever. I have pulled Swordland's economy from the depths of recession. In my presidency, Swedish citizens have united like never before. I have successfully reformed Swordland's constitution. I remain committed to stamping out corruption that has plagued Swedish corporations for far too long. Actually, no, let's do wrongdoing even within the institutions we hold dear. Swordland has changed, but the USP remains as strong as ever. I don't want to say I am the USP. I don't want a cult of personality. I'm gonna be gone in a year, or sorry, in 4 years. Anyways. Well, I mean, I might be gone in a couple of months, but I'm hoping I'll be gone in 4 years. There's been tremendous progress made in this term, and more is to come. I shall run for re-election with Gloria Torrey, Swordland's first ever female vice president. A roar shook the hall. We'll form a broad coalition of supporters to make sure morning finally comes. The rain train. Aborgna Vescore. whenever I say that, everyone just fucking loses it. So just drop that word, everyone goes absolutely ape. The audience enthusiastically finished the saying as streamers shot out of cannons behind me. Ninja? My re-election campaign had officially begun. I stepped down from the podium. Red Youth and Young Swords fight. Members put a clown wig and nose on the salt statue at the city center. On the other hand, an anonymous Red Youth member denied the claims. Both sides seem to have their own versions of the story with no evidence from either side. Wow, that sounds like it could be real. Like a thing that could have happened in real life. What doesn't require evidence, however, is the injured 14 people lying in hospitals. Young Swords oppress Bluish protesters. Alright, briefing on the current economic situation. I arrived at the Ministry of Economy and proceeded upstairs. An assistant waiting by the door to the meeting room took my jacket. I opened the door and entered the largest boardroom in the building. Simon was sitting alone with a glass of water and his documents laid out before him. Good afternoon, Mr. President. How's it going? I'm pretty swamped with the work, barely getting any time with the family. He stood up and when I entered and approached me. After a quick handshake, I took a seat. A knock was heard on the door and Gloria entered the room. Apologies, I got held up. Did you start yet? Mrs. Vice President, no, not yet. Now that everyone is here, let's begin. As you all know, the agenda today is the economy review for our entire term. I will brief you quickly on what we have done so far, just as a refresher. He gathered the documents in the pile in front of him and adjusted his glasses. From the pile, he produced 2 booklets and handed them over to us. Our extra focus on economy has resulted in small-scale positive growth. The extra resources allowed my ministry to optimize our plans as much as possible. It would be great if we follow up on this focus in the next term. Let's delve into more ingrained economic details below. Please turn to page 5. Yes, let's start with our economy plan. I'm glad to say that we are on track with our initial plan to go for a planned economy. Most of our decisions so far have been pretty consistent. Thankfully, it looks like I'm good at making the right decisions. Thank you for your efforts, Simon. Indeed, good job, Mr. Hall. If we were to describe what we have done so far, I would say that it is very close to a full command economy system, is it? Please turn to page 16. Status of trade and the effects of foreign policy. I am happy to say that our trade has increased since the beginning of our term. We're on the right path, which should keep at it and maximize potential. More trade means a more vibrant economy, which will increase our economic development. Although an argument can be made for it, we have started to become heavily reliant on other foreign economies. It is shameful that a great country like Suzerain has come to rely on other countries. We need to become self-reliant as soon as possible. I see where you're coming from, but globalization is at our doorstep whether we like it or not. Technically, globalization would already have happened. Since it did occur in the late 1800s. We need to fix this issue as soon as possible. Suzerain can't be a nation that relies on others. We'll have to carefully consider this matter on our second term. Please turn to page 17. While trying to fix the issue with our economic system, we went for a mixed approach. We didn't hold businesses above else and also tried to answer the requests of Swedish citizens. The balance is delicate and fragile. Bad news is the living standards are decreasing. We received more and more complaints about our welfare systems. Why? Which means less votes. Our opponents will use this against us. Exactly. Now turn to page 34. We have lost value in terms of our production rates compared to the last years. This is one of our weakest points right now. Then we need to fix this as soon as possible. I need everyone on this term, on this next term. As you wish, I will take a note. We have problems in terms of logistics in our country. The infrastructure is currently lacking in quality and quantity. We need to make more roads and improve the already existing ones. There are rightful complaints from the people and the businesses. Ease of access means faster delivery and more vibrant internal economy for all. We are very close to the end. I want to talk about a few numbers. Please turn to page 57. I've prepared a chart. Our inflation rate is currently at an amazing 2%, down from 7%, lowest that I've seen Suzerain since the beginning of our country. Swedish rent's value has been largely maintained and the consumer prices have been stabilized, which means that Swedish citizens are happier. There's nothing more important than the well-being of our citizens. Agreed. Mr. President, do you have any questions so far? What is our debt situation? Our debt is at 360 billion SR, down from 427 billion SR at the beginning of our term. We managed to bring it down quite a bit. As a result, the international investment has increased along with our government budget. Alright. What are the latest numbers on our GDP? Current GDP is at 513 billion yen, and a major increase from the 310 billion we had at the beginning of our term. As per the latest stats, the economy grew 16% in the last 4 years on average. We are enjoying an increased economic capacity. What about unemployment? Unemployment is at 5%, down from 16%. The change is mostly due to the investment and economic planning. Those are all the questions I had. Well, I mean, that seems all good. I want to quickly highlight our budget expenditure. The numbers I got tell that overall we have been pretty balanced with spending our government budget. A balanced approach is good, however, we shouldn't forget that money that is not spent is just a piece of paper. Now, going into the elections and hopefully a second term, we need to decide on the way forward. One thing is clear currently, we need more budget and we need an action. We shouldn't start our next term with a budget deficit. What should we do, Mr. President? Any ideas? We will take an international loan from the MFI. They can be kind of bullies. Sure, let's take an international loan. This will pose quite a risk to the reputation of our administration, but it can be done. Very well, consider it done. Now that's out of the way. On the most important question of all, how are we doing with the recession? I see a few smiles in the room. I think we earned it. We have almost eradicated the recession in its entirety. We are now in a period that what I call the Swedish recovery period. Swedish economic recovery, I see, achievements just popped up. This warrants a celebration for sure. I like the sound of it, Swedish recovery period. We have done well. History will remember the Reign administration as the administration that ended the recession. Congratulations everyone, this was only a dream a few years ago and we achieved it. We'll go out for drinks tonight, but for now, that is all for our meeting today. Thank you for coming. The meeting ended and I walked fast to the cafeteria to grab a coffee. Alright, so now we'll have more budget to play with. Some people will be upset, and we have this... oh, planned economy, okay. Yeah, some people will be upset about that. British Freedom Party starts campaigning. Cool. I don't mind that. That means that we'll have more people who can you know, push the sort of legislation that I want. It's a left-wing party, right? Victory for everyone. Covered the city after a campaign visit to the city. He is trying to cannibalize my left-wing voters. Amnesty giving to thousands. 72 high-profile British political prisoners who were being held up in maximum security Antler Rock prison were also released. Marcel Coronti's HOS Advertising, the biggest advertising agency in Swordsland, volunteered to help with the election campaign. They will provide consulting and design work for campaign material. The agency will also provide video material for television. That's good. NFP welcomes General Luderin's son. Seeing a Luderin back in politics is shocking to many citizens. General Luderin has infamously organized a military coup against President Vichy that led to the Swedish Civil War. Mr. Krebner has organized the event to appeal to his voter base. This is a symbolic step for the NFP, as Luderin was arguably the most well-known nationalist in Swordsland. Well, that's terrible. Let's read the news. Red Youth terrorizes Swordsland. Yeah, this is a conservative newspaper. Red Youth and Young Swords clash. Well, it's election season. Makeup crew had just finished their preparations for the interview. Lucian stopped me on my way up to the balcony of the Blue Mansion, where the filming crew was standing ready to start filming. Are you ready for the interview, sir? Yes. Good, I have done my best to make this happen. This is very important for our administration. The crew is ready to start filming. Mr. Sacker is excited to interview you. As I explained before, it would have been bad press to decline this interview offer. They are the most prestigious interview program in the world, and they are from Kirut. The country is known for its neutrality. I don't think there will be too much pressure. I hope so, Lucian. I walked to the balcony and sat on the seat prepared for me, directly in front of Mr. Sacker. No codex, okay. Mr. President, welcome to One-on-One. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you. Let us begin with the latest incident between Sordland and Rumburg. An aircraft of the Swedish Air Forces was shot down by Rumburgian anti-air guns a few weeks ago. Officials from the Rumburgian government proclaimed that the aircraft was flying inside the airspace of Rumburg. Your government has been silent apart from a few statements which claim that your plane was indeed in Swedish airspace when it was shot down. Do you believe the Rumburgian forces initiated an intentional attack? I want to think that they attacked us intentionally. It must have been a mistake. That one is good because it sort of implies incompetency. My bad. I'm the incompetent one. It implies incompetency on their side. It doesn't imply any sort of mistake on our part, and it doesn't sort of go too aggressive. Does that mean your side is willing to have diplomatic talks with Rumburg? Of course, Rumburg is our neighbor, and we want to have good relations with all of our neighbors. Do you believe Queen Livingston shares the same sentiment? I hope she does. We are willing to work together to achieve peace in Eastern Marcopa. This week, the Arcatian government has condemned Rumburg for their actions against Swordland. Now that Swordland is also a member of the ATO, do you think this would deter Rumburg from creating a broader conflict? Yes, that's not even a question. Queen Beatrice is not crazy to go against the whole ATO. Before we move on further with that, I want to ask about another topic. Not so long ago, you claimed that a spy was discovered within your administration and that the alleged spy was none other than your own secretary. Scandal caused by that resulted in Mr. Vector leaving. He was blamed, and you appointed a new vice president. Many claim that this was just an internal political move designed to eliminate the vice president. What do you have to say about these accusations? We've recently lost Mr. Vector. I don't appreciate you asking me such a question. He was a friend of mine. I know you were very close, Mr. Rain. My condolences, but I didn't get an answer to my question. Why would I oust my large supporter, close friend, and the backbone of my administration? Well, I'm asking you the questions here, Mr. President, but let's move on. He didn't look like he was satisfied with my response, but he stopped for a moment and took a brief look at his papers. Okay, let's turn back to your foreign policy. Let's talk about the ongoing conflict about the Helluland Island. The Oxlandian Navy has been increasingly active in the Markian Sea. As you know, they've been harassing the Agnolian ships and recently Swordfish ships as well. I believe Swordland is committed to stand together with Agnolia. In fact, you have a military alliance with them. What do you think about Valksund's actions and their claims on the island? I invite Chancellor Hagel to see reason. I believe the conflict can be resolved diplomatically. Do you think that hostilities between Agnolia and Valksund can erupt into a hot war? It is definitely a possibility, therefore all nations in Eastern Marcopa should do their best to calm the situation. Would Swordland also get involved if the situation gets out of control? As a peacekeeping force, yes. We can't let the Markian Sea turn into a war zone. Okay, let's move on to another topic. Last year, a huge conflict took place close to your borders with Evelyn. When the Veshik forces partook in a massacre of Bludish civilians under the guise of eliminating Bludish Freedom Front, Swordland decided to stay out of the conflict. In fact, many refugees fleeing from the massacre came to Swordland. Knowing that Swordland also had its troubles with the Bludish independence movement, how did Swordland cope with the influx of Bludish refugees coming in from Velen? I don't understand the question. The Bludish movement has nothing to do with this. That is probably a bad one for press, but maybe not. First of all, they are human beings. They could have been swords or Veshiks as well. This one will make the NIMBYs upset, like they're not in my backyard people. I don't understand the question. The movement has nothing to do with this. The world has been watching this humanitarian crisis with utmost attention, and I have to give you credit for allowing these people to enter Swordland. Unlike your neighbor Lesbia, Swordland took this responsibility. You feel the burden for being the only country who opened the borders to the refugees? No, our country has the power to provide for all. I understand. Can you say with certainty that these refugees can adapt and find a better life in Swordland? Yes, I genuinely believe that. But how about On the gesture of the director, he stopped before finishing his sentence. Well, it seems that's all the time we have for today. The director shouted at the crew to stop recording. Both stood up and shook hands. Thank you for your valuable time, Mr. President. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you for coming to Swordland. I hope to interview you again in the future. Lucian walked up to the director and started talking to him. I went inside the building. Let's see if that went well. Oh my god, 8. Workers' Party announces Lecky as a replacement for Ejal. Now he's returning to the party, okay, after Ejal has been hospitalized. Swordland dependent on foreign help. Of course, you'll say that. Swordland's darkest hour. President Rain took the reign and led the country out of depression. Millions of jobs added, countless businesses opened, and myriad investors pouring into Swordland. Yeah, so these guys are pragmatic. They are critical of me when I make mistakes, and positive whenever I do good things. Monsoon Lek is back at the WPB. Swordland reliant on foreign aids, as Swordland today as well. They're radical. Rain administration resorts to MFI loans. Oh yeah, that's everyone hates that. Living standards suffer. Great Swedish economic recovery. So it's both good and bad. Bloodish opinion high. Earning the Bloodish vote in the upcoming election may be crucial for re-election. Monsoon might return to WPB. Yep, I mean he did. What's the next thing? The next thing is Graf Manor, private meeting with Lilith Graf. Okay, that doesn't sound good. Public opinion good, yeah. I think that is it for this episode. I want to say thank you so much for watching. This was a slightly long one, but I'm enjoying this game a whole lot, and we are nearing the end game. I think the game is going to end, so I know that there are only 4 chapters. I think the game is going to end with the election, or whatever else might happen. So, how many turns in are we? Turn 9. This is like all the way from the beginning of the game. I don't know how many turns there are in the game, but I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.